I now recognize Mr. McCaul for 5 minutes.
It's an interesting debate. I chaired this committee, and this came to my attention when I chaired this committee. Confucius Institutes being a soft power used by China, directed out of the United Front Work Department in the Chinese Communist Party, and inside the Ministry of Education. They talk about their Minister of Propaganda in 2010. So trying to put a time frame on all this stuff in terms of the reaction time of this committee to what has happened from a timeline in China. 2010, the Chinese Minister of Propaganda declared we should actively carry out international propaganda battles against issuers such as, they talk about Tibet, Taiwan, Falun Gong. We should do well in establishing and operating overseas cultural centers and Confucius Institutes. And they talk about it being a soft power. And then this is back, again, this is going, the timing of this bill and what I think my colleague from Texas is trying to do, the urgency. We've waited a while. The FBI director testified, back then that he had concerns about it. Director Ray said they're exploiting the very open research and development that we have, which we all revere, but they're taking advantage of it. This letter I wrote, just to put it in context, was in 2018. It was 5 years ago. I wrote this letter to the Texas universities in my state, and guess what? The next day I got a call from all of them saying that they were going to stop and close down the Confucius Institutes in Texas because of the threat, because of what the FBI was telling us at that time and told the universities at that time. So I don't know, I guess I'm missing, there may be some salient points here that I may have missed.
Would the gentleman yield?
But I just think that, the time is kind of now to get this done. I'd be happy to, yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the, thank you. I'm looking at the GAO report, which basically says that, most schools did not express concerns about potential security or other risks related to Confucius Institutes. That's page 15 of the report. Schools generally reported losing resources provided by Confucius Institutes due to the change. The schools took steps to drop the Confucius Institutes, not because they were worried about any kind of theft of IP or R&D, but just they were worried about losing the funding. So, I mean, the only point I think that we're trying to make is
You can reclaim your time.
I'm sorry, just 5 more
go
seconds.
ahead.
I think the intent's great,
yeah,
but there's a disconnect between the theft issue, that's based on what the FBI and the GAO
So I will reclaim my time
yes,
now.
Sir.
I kind of know this stuff, but I mean, it's soft power. It's not the hard power. It's not the espionage piece is the 1,000 Talents program that they have. And that is more insidious. That they were able to infiltrate NASA, for instance. I know Mr. Magazine was talking about space. A Texas A&M professor got indicted for espionage because he was working with NASA and giving information to China. Now that's a criminal case. What Confucius really is their soft power arm within the universities to exercise their propaganda, with the students to, influence them. That say, for instance, the Tibetans those monks are really bad people, or Taiwan is part of China and should be rightfully reunified, and how dare Taiwan, even under the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979, they have no right to do what they're doing. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about. This would be more at classroom, soft power propaganda coming out of the Chinese Minister of Education itself, which was stated in this letter, directly into our schools. That was a problem we had. You're correct. The 1,000 Talents program, that's the one that really worries me. And the China initiative that, I sat down with Merrick Garland. I was a DOJ attorney. I sat down with him last year in his office, just the two of us. Why did you shut down the China initiative? That was the initiative going after these espionage cases. just in 1 second here, the Houston consulate in my state got shut down because of the amount of espionage cases coming out of there. That was unprecedented. And the idea that we don't have espionage cases, I don't know why that initiative was shut down as well, because there clearly has been a lot of espionage coming out of that building, and all the employees went back to China. They were hitting the Texas Medical Center, NASA, the energy sector. And so that's just my point of view.
Gentleman yields.